Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, hello, how are you? My name is Gina, and on this channel we talk about plants, and in this video we're going to be talking about plants. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the Syngonium Chiapense Variegated. So just yesterday I was racking my brain, what am I going to do my video on this week? Because I'm trying to get you guys 2 videos a week. And so this video should be coming out on Friday. I was like, what the heck am I, what am I gonna talk about? And so I was in my grow tent and I saw, and I remembered, I have this big tub filled with the Syngonium Chiapense Variegated propagations that we made together. I'm pretty sure we made these together. They are more than ready to be potted up. And yeah, so that is the plan for this video. And then I was like, well, it won't just be, because I think chore videos are just kind of, they're just kind of boring a little bit. So I thought, in addition to doing that chore, it is a chore, we could also do I'll give you some care tips on the Syngonium Chiapense Variegated, what I have learned since I've had this plant. And I've had the plant in my collection for about 2 years. It's been about 2 years. So I do feel like I am pretty well versed on how to take care of this plant. So that is the plan for this video. All right, so this here is my 2-year-old mother plant. You would never guess this plant is 2 years old. It looks brand new because it is so small, but this is the plant that I chopped from to fill that bin filled with the propagations. So yeah, and I actually have 2 Syngonium Chiapense Variegated in my collection. I have this one, and then I have another one that lives in my grow tent. This one also now lives in my grow tent. Prior to being in my grow tent, it was in my office on the pink trellis. So if you've been around a while, you'll remember seeing it on the pink trellis. So what happened is this one grew really tall. It was like all the way up to the ceiling, and I decided it was time to chop it. I'm pretty sure that is, and also I think those top leaves were starting to revert a little bit, or they were losing the really pretty variegation, and I figured if I chopped it, I could bring that back. Well, yes, that certainly did work. So not only do I have lots of variegated leaves again, I also have 2 new growth points on this plant. So here's the original stem. Right here was the original stem that I chopped. It was just one plant, one stem in this pot. I chopped it, and this is the new growth point that came out. But then also it popped out a brand new growth point down here. So I now have 2 plants in this pot. So if you have been, if your Syngonium Chiapense is starting to lose its variegation, do not be afraid to chop it. Just chop it, because you know this can happen. This is pretty sweet here. All right, so I'm gonna get set up. We're gonna sit on the floor, and we're gonna get into this box. We're gonna pull all the plants out of this box, and we're gonna pot them up into some really nice clear plastic planters. Yeah, so let me get set up. Okay, I think this works. I think this will work for us here. So now this is the bin. This is the bin of Syngonium Chiapense that we created together. I am a big proponent of propagating in plastic bins like this. If you've watched some of my other videos, I do begonias in bins, and yeah, and I'm watching a fungus gnat, which I thought I got all the fungus gnats out. I actually just took this outside to try and get rid of all the fungus gnats that were in there. So that was a problem I had, and I put in some sticky traps in there. Oh, I don't want him to get out. Can't get them. Sometimes they're really hard to get. You would think they'd be easy to, there's just one. Oh, I got them. I got him. Yay. I got him. Okay, so I had stuck these. It's a good idea yeah, fungus gnats can get into your bins. So I just stick icky, ugly sticky traps in the bins to catch those fungus gnats. And that usually does the trick. Sometimes they get in, sometimes they don't. I think there's still, even though the bin is like fully like covered, they still manage to get in through the sides or something. I don't know, like, how do they do it? I don't know. Anyway, so hopefully this is not too far away. So I need to dump this whole thing into this potting mat. But before I do that, let me just give you a close-up of how it is looking. I think I counted 12 that have full-grown leaves. And then I did see that there's a couple in there that they're probably rooted, but they just have like little growth points. So I'm also going to pot those guys up. So I don't know. I have like 14 pots here. So we'll see what we can do with that. So let me just pull. You know what? It's not like so rooted that I need to. Oh yeah, this will work. Usually these things are so like incredibly rooted in here that I have to like just pull the whole thing out like a big mat, but not in this case. So these propagations, I'll have to put it on the screen like how old these are. So they just started out as wet sticks. So basically, I cut the stem of my mother plant. Here's my mother plant right here. I cut her stem up and I removed all the leaves, like all the mature original leaves that were attached to that stem. And I stuck all of these, it was like one node. Each one was like one node. And I stuck them into the bin, into the sphagnum moss. And I'll look up, I'll check when I did that. I feel like it was maybe in June. It wasn't that long ago. But if you know Syngoniums, you know that they are prolific growers, really fast growers. They are very hardy plants. I'll say they're easy care, and every time I say a plant is easy care, someone in the comments always comes back and says, well, it wasn't easy for me. It's not easy for me. And I know some people have difficulty with Syngonium, I'm aware, but for me, they have been pretty easy. So here, look at these roots. Look at that, and look at that leaf. This is this one turned out so beautifully. So I'm gonna actually, as soon as I pull them out and I remove the moss, now you don't have to, I get as much of the moss off as I can, but you don't have to get all the moss off. It's not gonna hurt it to leave some of the moss on there. And let me just show you my potting mix. I tell you guys this all the time. I use a chunky aeroid mix because Syngoniums are aeroids, and they do enjoy a chunky, well-draining mix. Now, Syngoniums also love water. So if your mix is not like, it's okay to make it so it's not like super chunky and well draining, because they do enjoy the water. And I, for the most part, never let mine dry out. They never dry out. Like, I water my Syngoniums once a week, and they love it. But I also, and I do use I use the chunky mix and watering once a week, and that seems to be perfectly fine for the plants. So, but if you were to use, like, if you were to take your chunky mix and add some vermiculite to it, since vermiculite does retain moisture really well, that might allow you to not have to water your plant every week like I do. So, but just keep in mind, part of the care of the Syngonium is they do love water, and you might be watering them more frequently depending on what your soil mix is like. So there's our first one. You can see the roots. It's a nicely rooted plant. And this will go into my grow tent. I'll water it in and then I'll go straight into my grow tent. I should have brought a tray up here to put them onto, but oh well, that's okay. Okay, next victim. We'll grab this one. Now this one, I see it has nice roots. The first leaf that popped out is not quite as pretty. It doesn't have, I mean, it's still pretty. It is still pretty, but it just doesn't have quite as much variegation as that last one. And so hopefully future leaves that pop out will be more variegated. I'll show you up close what this one looks like in just a second. And you'll see it's still pretty. It just doesn't have quite as much variegation as the last one. So let's pot that one up. All right, so we talked about watering, how to water. They like water. So let's talk about lighting. They like bright and direct light. I have never put my Syngonium in direct sun, although they have, actually that's not true. They have gotten some direct sun, but it was always just morning sun. So when I kept some Syngonium in my bedroom, that's a southeast facing window. So they would get some morning sun, and they did really well there. So morning sun is fine, but otherwise you're gonna wanna keep them in a bright location, but not in like direct afternoon sun where it's going to scorch their leaves. They're not gonna enjoy that. They also do really great, here's number 2. They do really great in under grow lights. So like most plants seem to do really well in grow lights, like all plants. All plants, well, perhaps maybe not a cactus. Depending on how bright your grow lights are, your cactus, yeah, or succulents even, they might get a bit leggy, but that one's a pretty one. That one's almost like that. The variegation isn't quite, it's a very immature leaf. So as the leaf matures, that variegation will really pop out on it. But it's almost like a half moon. It's almost a half moon on that one. So lighting, grow lights, if you have grow lights, that's gonna work perfectly fine for your plant. It's gonna be perfectly happy. I have a bunch of Syngonium in my office, and all of them are pretty much under grow lights. There's one northeast facing window in there. And then, yeah, tons of grow lights, and they grow really, really well under those grow lights. And this one here, I wonder if that's the original leaf. No, that was like a second leaf. This one has like a second leaf that was popping out that just didn't quite make it. Like, it's there, but it's very stunted. So it'll be interesting to see what the third leaf will look like. So yeah, see how that turns out. And this one, this is a 2-leafer here. So we have the original leaf that came out, and now we have a second one popping out that looks very, very variegated. Very white. I can't tell if it has any green. It might have a little bit of green, But that one really popped out a solid, almost solid white leaf. And I'm putting these into 4-inch planters. See that? This one right here is the newest leaf. Pretty white on that one. That was the first one that popped out. So even though there's not a ton of variegation that popped out on this first leaf here, well, there is a ton on this one. So there is hope for this one that we did. That it will give us a nice variegated leaf next, the next one. All right, so the reason I'm doing 4-inch pots, like normally in the past I would put these into little 3-inch pots, but Syngoniums grow, look at this root system already. I mean, tons of roots. Syngoniums love to grow roots. It's like their thing. So these, even though they're tiny little plants in a bigger 4-inch pot, they are going to fill in these pots so fast. So that's why I decided not to do 3-inch pots, not to put them into 3-inch pots, but to put them into these 4-inchers in hopes that I won't have to repot them soon, like anytime soon. So there's that one. I'm running out of space here on my lid. This one is really big. Okay, so we talked about on care guide for the Syngonium Chiapense Variegated, we talked about watering, we talked about lighting, humidity. Now, like a lot of tropical plants, of course, they're going to love higher humidity, but they don't need it. Like they don't have to have it to survive and thrive. I mean, some plants, you know, they survive and they don't thrive, but the Syngonium, they can survive in lower humidity and still thrive. So that has been my experience. As you know, if you do know, I live in Colorado and we are quite dry here. My ambient in my house is around 30%, and these Syngoniums do perfectly fine. They grow. Obviously, this girl right here, she grew to the ceiling in my ambient conditions. So humidity is not necessary. Would they enjoy higher humidity? Of course, like most plants. And in higher humidity, they are going to grow faster, but they don't need it to survive, and they don't need it to thrive. That's a nice one. This one also put out a really wonky leaf here that just it's just tiny. Probably because in the bin, they just, I don't know, there's not that much space in the bin for them. Maybe that has something to do with it. But like not all of them had a stunted growth on their second leaf, I guess. I guess that's the second leaf that's tiny like that. For instance, this one popped out a perfectly well-formed second leaf. Look at the roots on this one. So long. Like I said, they love to grow roots. Look at that. This is the original first leaf that came out. Just a little bit of variegation down there at the bottom. Very pretty though, look at that. And then the second one that popped out has a ton of variegation. And that, like this one, as the plant matured, you see the white really looks white. So this that looks so pale right now will eventually be super bright white like that other one. Oh, and by the way, these guys, of course, I'm not doing all this just for myself. Like, I'm not making 13 or 14 pots of Syngonium Chiapense for myself. These are going to be in my plant shop. So if you don't know, I have a plant shop. thepinktrellis.com is where you can find my plants. Sometimes on a Friday, not this time, but sometimes on a Friday I will show you the plants that I have updated in my plant shop. I'll show you them all, and you can see what was uploaded into the shop that day. So it's Friday, there is a new plant shop update, so you can go to my website and see all those new plants. And then also, as you know, if you watched my video last Friday, I'm not just uploading plants into my shop on Fridays like I have in the past, but I'm also uploading them on a Wednesday. So you may have seen, oops, I pulled a nice little root off. It's a little too rough, a little too fast, going a little too fast. But yeah, what was I talking about? Oh, updating on a Wednesday, updating my shop. So I did have a shop update on Wednesday. If you sign up for emails on my website, you will get notification every time I update the shop. Look at this one, how pretty. And then there's a second leaf coming out, and hopefully it won't be wonky like those other ones. But yeah, if you sign up for emails on my website, you will know when I update the shop, because I will send an email letting you know. And so that will now be 2 emails a week that you will be receiving if you sign up if you subscribe for emails. So hopefully that won't be too annoying for you guys. But yeah, that's all I'll do. I won't send you any other emails. It'll only be shop update emails. So let's see, we only have a few more. I had, how many have we done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've done 7. Okay, so what else can we talk about? Ooh, this is gorgeous. This one is stunning. Stunning. Sorry. That's my new plant term for stunning plants. They're not just stunning, they're stunning. Stunning. This one has a really nice root system on it too. Really big. Okay, look at this. Stunning. Look at this. It almost reminds me of like a cow pattern, like a cow, like a Holstein, you know. Kind of has that look where there's, instead of black, it's green. Wouldn't that be amazing to have a plant with white and black variegation like that? That'd be cool. There's nothing like that, right? Well, I guess technically it wouldn't be black, but it would be like an almost like a deep red maroon that looks black, kind of like the Syngonium Lanocarty Road, like that color. Is there a Lanocarty Road variegated? There needs to be. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Someone create that. Okay. Oh, okay, so lighting, humidity, soil, fertilizing. So you do want to fertilize your plants. You want to fertilize all your plants. Now some plants, not all genuses need to be fertilized all the time. They don't need to be fed all the time, like Ripsalis don't need to be fed with frequency. They don't, and like succulents and cacti don't. But Syngoniums are one of the genuses that will benefit from fertilizing. So what I do is I use Fox Farms Grow Big fertilizer, and the ratio I use I fertilize with every watering with all my plants. And the ratio I use is just like a teaspoon per gallon of water. And that's for weekly feedings. And the plants grow, they grow big. Just like the fertilizer says, grow big. And don't be fooled by the packaging that shows a tomato on the bottle. It's liquid fertilizer. It can be used for tomatoes. It will grow big tomatoes. Speaking of, our tomatoes, you guys, okay, you saw my tomatoes at my outdoor garden, my tomatoes. They were green. Okay, well, they have started to ripen. So we've been eating them. They've been amazing. And they are huge. They are like as beautiful as the bottle of Fox Farm Grow Big. They look like that. They're gorgeous tomatoes. So I was worried that my tomatoes were not going to ripen before the frost this year. The first frost, I think our first frost is typically, I think it's like October 11th or something like that, which today is what? The 8th? I think today might be October 8th. So we have just 4 weeks left, possibly, before the first frost. And I was worried, like I said, I was worried that they weren't going to ripen in time, but they did. But I think it was, who was it? Oh, Kira. She told me that if you take your tomatoes, your unripened tomatoes, and you cut them, you don't cut the tomatoes off, but cut the entire plant at the soil level. And you can remove some of the leaves. You don't have to keep all the leaves. And then you just hang it upside down in your garage. They will ripen. The tomatoes were ripened. She said her mother did that and it worked. So that was my plan. That was what I was going to do, but I don't think I'm going to have to do that because they are ripening like crazy now and we are enjoying those tomatoes and they are fantastic. So if you were in a situation like if you don't think your tomatoes are going to be ripened in time, try that trick that Kira told me about. Now this one, not a whole lot of variegation on that leaf. So we will see. This might be a reverted Chiapense Variegated. It might just turn into just a regular old Chiapense, which is still beautiful. But yeah. This one has not a whole lot of variegation on it either. A little bit. That last one didn't have any. This one has a little bit. Has a really nice root system though. And I don't see any new growth, any new leaves. Oh yeah, right there. So I can see where a new leaf is going to come out on the stem. But here's what this one looks like. So there is a little bit of variegation on that one. Nice roots. So that's fertilizer, grow big, and a little bit of tomato talk. Because why not? All right, so what else can we talk about care-wise for these guys? Temperature, you know, typical home temperature is fine, obviously. And I think we just have one left with a leaf. Oh, did I pull? No. I thought I lost some roots, but I did not. This one just has like one big root here, and not a whole lot of, a little bit of variegation on it, but not a ton. So we'll see what happens with this one. Who knows? Like, you know, it could pop out a second leaf with some really nice variegation on it. Okay, so let's talk about, we can talk about pests, because I have experienced pests on my Syngoniums. Mostly what I deal with is spider mites. Spider mites, for some reason, they love the Syngoniums. So I have dealt with that in the past. Knock on wood, there's some wood down there. Not currently seeing any spider mites in my collection. Oh, I take that back. I have seen some spider mites on my pink rolly, but I treated it. I sprayed it with some DIY pest spray, which is just, it's like a cup of rubbing isopropyl rubbing alcohol, and then some hydrogen peroxide, a few squirts of hydrogen peroxide, and a tablespoon of tea tree soap and a tablespoon of peppermint soap, and then the rest of it filled with tap water. And I've sprayed it like every 3 days. I spray it, and that takes care of the spider mites. That seems to have done the trick, and I haven't seen any. That was the only one I had seen spider mites on. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna pull. So this is what I was talking about. Actually, I might just leave these in the bin. So we have these. This is one of the wet sticks, and it has a growth point, but absolutely 0 roots. So no roots on that one. And I know there's more than one in there like that. So here's another one where you have your growth point, the leaf, but no roots. And this one actually has roots. It has a growth point, and then you see the roots, the new root growth on there. And is that it? I also had some Coriaceae silver, which that might have been rotted. Some Hoya Coriaceae silver propagations in here. And I think that just rotted away. For whatever reason, it would not grow. Maybe it's incompatible with Syngonium. I don't know. But yeah, I thought about potting up those little rootless nodes here, but I'm just going to put them back into the bin and see if eventually, like this one does have some nice roots on it, but we'll see if they eventually will put out more roots, like actually root and mature like these guys back here, like how nicely they grew. And then I can also, then I have, I have space that I can put other stuff in, like that's not the right cover. Yeah, I have space to, if I want to grow some other types of plants from little nodes, I can just plop them in there. But I probably won't do Hoya, because for some reason the Hoya just did not take in that bin. It did not get along with the Syngonium. All right. Ooh, stretch. Did you hear that pop? Feels good to stretch out my legs. Okay, so we have 2. So I guess I had 12. I have 12. Let me pull them all over here for you to see. So, okay, so we were talking about pests with these guys. So spider mites, I've seen thrips, not very often. Like thrips have not been a common thing for me on Syngonium, but I have seen them. Scale, I have seen scale. And that was on a Wendlandii. Yeah. All right, I don't have space for for all of them. We'll put them up here. Next to mama. They can be near their mama. Yeah, my Winlandia, I came in with scale. And yeah, scale is kind of gross, really. It's like, it makes me think of little snails almost, because the scale has like a hard shell on it, and then it's like soft and squishy under the shell. Yeah, they're gross, and they kind of, if you smash them, they kind of stink. They smell like snails. To me, it smells like snails. They're just gross. They're just kind of gross. So mealybugs, I suppose you could get mealybugs on your Syngonium, but I haven't experienced mealybugs. Yeah, so if you do run into issues with your Syngoniums, most likely, pest-wise, it's going to be spider mites. And unfortunately, they're not as easy to treat like as thrips, because spider mites seem to be like the systemic granules, which is I love to use for like thrips or something like that, or mealybugs. I don't get mealybugs, but for thrips, systemic granules are perfect. But for some reason, spider mites, supposedly it like makes them reproduce faster. So with spider mites, it's more work because you have to spray. So I just, like the DIY spray I told you about, I just spray that every 3 days, and for like three treatments. So over 9 days. So I'll spray, wait 3 days, spray, wait 3 days, spray. And that seems to get rid of the spider mites. Now that pink rolly I told you about that has spider mites, it's a little more difficult because the leaves are rolled. They're like curled up, so they can, it's not so easy to get the spray into those leaves to kill those spider mites. But anyway, that's what you need to do for spider mites. For thrips, you can just use systemic granules if you can get them where you live, and also for like mealybugs. Yeah, so. All right, so we talked about lighting, soil, humidity, fertilizing, pests. If you're wondering when to repot your Syngonium, when the roots are coming out the bottom of the pot. See this? Can you see that? But Syngoniums are going to do that, like, see that? That's what they do. That's just what they do. So I don't know. Whenever you feel like repotting your plants, if you want to give it a bigger pot to grow bigger, then go for it. Some of my Syngoniums, I have like, so this is the bottom of the pot here. This is the bottom of the pot. And I have like roots down to here, like coiled, and they do fine. Yeah, they're going to be fine. So, but do what you want to do. So. All right, I think that is going to be it for this video. I think that's long enough. So I hope you enjoyed watching the process of potting up these propagations we made a few months ago together. And now they are ready. I'm going to water these in. They're going to go in my grow tent. I'm going to let them get a few more leaves, and then I'm going to pop them into my plant shop, thepinktrellis.com, for you guys. So yeah, maybe you saw the one, which one, for those of you interested in buying one of these, you might be wondering, which one am I gonna get? Hopefully they will all be beautiful. And yeah, so that's it. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun watching, and yeah, thanks. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.